what we have is we have already done the installation. So Node.js and the what we say the VS Code, right? So we have both the things now. Okay, so both things are done. Okay. Now tell me one thing, right? If after installing these two, right, have I already got the JavaScript on my machine? Do I already have JavaScript on my machine? Can anyone answer this? Or do I need to do something to get JavaScript on my machine first? It might sound like a silly question, but I'm still asking.
I guess
Anyone?
yes.
We need to install one extension in VS Code, ES6 snippet.
Yes, we have.
I need to add ES6 snippet. Okay, as
Oh,
an
yeah.
extension, you're saying. Okay, and what this will do?
I feel
Um,
JavaScript is
to-
already like comes with the browser, so you don't need to install it.
So you're saying with the browser it came, right? So browser you got JavaScript, but currently this is VS Code, right? VS Code is not the browser, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what you made the point, right, is valid if I'm working on a browser. There I get JavaScript, right, from the browser. Why? I mean, okay, again there, right? Why would I get JavaScript?
I think Akhil, we have to save the file as .js extension.
Which is correct. That is how the file would be named as, right? Similar to Java, right? How do you name in Java? You say .java, right? So again, the extension of the files in JavaScript would be JS. In Java, you do .java, right? Then that file is considered like a Java file. But my question is not this. What I'm trying to ask is like, do I need to do any special installation to start working on JavaScript now? Considering that I already have Node.js and VS Code on my machine.
No, I don't think so because Node.js is there. Yeah, it will take care of
Absolutely
it.
correct. Absolutely correct, right? That is what I want everyone to realize, right? See, come again, most of our learning, right, which I'll be teaching you, right, I would be trying to draw a comparison between JavaScript and Java so that things gets more clear to you, right? And you can also compare, right? Although I told you, right, Java and JavaScript are two different things. Okay. But when I will give a comparison, I think it will really help you to understand it in a better way. And also appreciate like how different JavaScript is as compared to the normal languages like Java. Okay. Okay, again, coming back to our question, right? To this part. Now, the answer to the question is, again, the answer to the question is in Java also, right? If let's say I am saying that you have to write a program in Java, what do you need on your system? What do? You install JDK, right? You install JDK, and what happens with it, right? You get everything, right? So it's not that for installing Java you need to add some extra package or maybe do some other installation. No, right? JDK is sufficient here, right? Within JDK, right? You get what? You get JRE. This is JRE. Within JDK, you have JRE, and within JRE, you have JVM, right? You get all this. So this is a combination when you say JDK there, right? Java Development Kit. So you get Java because you install JDK there, right? I mean, it's a part of it. Now, similarly, when we talk about JavaScript, right? What we have done is we have installed Node.js, right? We have installed Node.js. What is Node.js? I told yesterday also, right? It's a JavaScript engine, right? It's a runtime environment. It's a lot of things, right? What I would say, it's a runtime environment, first of all. It's a runtime environment. Okay, it's a runtime environment using which what you can do is you can create JavaScript content, a file or something, right? Create JavaScript and run JavaScript, right? On your machine. On your machine, right? Not on the browser. I'm not talking about browser. Okay? I'm not talking about browser. Try to understand this, right? I want this to, I mean, fit into the brains that if this is our laptop, right? This is my laptop, and let's say this is my browser which I have opened up, right? My browser, right? Let's say I want to run a JavaScript code inside the browser here, right? Let's say I have written a file with a .js extension and I want to run it, right? And let's say I don't have Node.js, right? I don't have Node.js currently. I can still run my JavaScript file inside the browser, right? Any modern browser, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, anything which I want, right? I can run that code. But if I don't have Node.js on my machine, then without using the browser, I cannot run the JavaScript. Okay, right? And that is why we require Node.js to be installed on our machine, which we already did yesterday, right? Now, why I'm repeating this again and again is just to make sure that if you see Node.js, right? When you install Node.js, we got a version of Node.js, right? What was the version? Version was 22, right? 22 10 dot something, right? I don't remember the exact part, but this was the version which we got. Now, whenever you are installing, whenever you are, I mean, let's say install Node.js, right? What do you get with it? What you also get is you get the EcmaScript, right? Okay, I mean, you get the JS version, right, which is compliant to a EcmaScript version. Maybe some of you might have heard this term for the first time, or maybe you are aware since I'm sure since most of you are coming from the JavaScript background itself. So you are also aware, like there is a very popular question which being asked in the interviews, okay, which people ask you in the first interview itself, where they say, which version of JavaScript are you using? I'm sure most of you would have got this question if you have appeared for an interview, or maybe in the top 100 questions, right, of those interviews. Okay, has anyone experienced this, like this question, or is it only me who's asking this? Okay, then let me
Someone,
yeah, please, sir.
okay, I was asked this question. I told him we are using CommonJS. So I don't know did I answer right or wrong, but he didn't respond to that question and asked next another question.
Okay, okay, you said CommonJS, right?
Yes.
Okay, the answer is wrong. Okay, maybe. Okay, so the answer is wrong, right? I'll again, this is a very basic question, right, when it comes to learning about JavaScript. Okay, so we will first clarify this doubt today, right? Because this can help you in your interviews, right? And again, this is also essential to get the complete high level view of the language, right? The history of JavaScript. Okay, but again, but before going there, right, you understand this part, right, everyone, that I told you again, right? If you wanted to run something, I mean a JS file, right, and if you have a browser, then you do not need anything else. A browser is suffice, right, to do that. But let's say you do not want to run it on browser, and you wanted to work on a Windows, I mean Windows, Mac, or whatever machine, right, you have, you want to work on that without using the browser, then JavaScript will not work as is, right? It's not that you can create a .js file and start and try to run it. It will not run. Okay, it will not run. It needs a runtime environment like Node.js. So that is the reason that you install Node.js first, and then you can create JS files, right? And then you can try to run them, right? And how are we running it? We are saying node and the name of the file, right? This is how I've been running till now, right? Okay. If I compare this experience with Java, do you feel the same thing which happens in Java also? Let's say I have a Java file, right, and I want to run it. I want to run this Java file on my laptop. What do I need? I need JDK, right? We all are aware about it, right? I need JDK and it will work, right? I hope everyone agrees, right, on this. We need to compile it and it will run, right?
Akhil, we need like a JRE. We don't need like JDK.
You need JDK to create the file, right? JRE,
Right.
right?
Is to only run the Java file.
Right, right. So when I say JDK, please consider that I am talking about, I mean, you can switch the context, but again, you're right. To create the file is you need JDK. To run the file, your thing will suffice if you have even JRE. But being a developer, JRE will not help you to be able to write the code, right? So you need JDK at least. Okay.
Right.
So again, the point here is that on the laptop, right, if you want to run a Java file, you need JRE for sure, right? But again, as a developer, you would like to have JDK rather than JRE, right? But you need this. Okay, JRE or JDK, you need either of this to run the things. Now, what I'm trying to ask you here is, let's say there is a browser, right? First of all, think about it. Can I run my Java code on the browser? Like I'm running it on, like I'm running JS file on this.
No.
I cannot run, right? I cannot run the Java file on the browser, right? Because of a very simple reason, right? There is no need for the browser to run those JavaScript code, because Java code, right, does not help in rendering any of your features, right, of the application, right? That is not how it is designed to work with. It is the JavaScript only which browsers like to understand and make it behave. Okay. So this question, right, of using Java on browsers does not even arise. But I'm just trying to make sure that you understand different questions, right, and the context of it by asking you multiple silly questions, right? I'm sure you might be thinking Akhil is asking very silly questions, but I hope this is igniting some thoughts in the brain. Okay, okay, fine. Let's move ahead, right? What I wanted you to know about is the history of JavaScript first. History of JavaScript first. Let's start with that thing, right? And there the discussion of ECMA will come in. Okay.
Akhil, when you said like which version of JavaScript are you using, so is it like the version number 2021?
Something like this, yes.
Okay.
Something like this, right? And the version of JavaScript which is supported by your system, right, depends on the Node.js which you have installed on your machine. Okay. Yeah, Anand, yeah, please.
So Akhil, there was also a point that why browser standalone is able to run JavaScript. So, and the correct answer to that will be that the modern browser, they have inbuilt engines to run the JavaScript.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Right. Every browser, right, comes with a JavaScript engine, right, and that is very essential component of the browsers, right? And using that only your applications are your web applications are dynamic in nature. Otherwise, what you will end up with is a static website, which no one likes. Okay. Okay, great. Right. Okay. Let's draw a timeline. Right. Today is 2024, right? We are in 2024. I think JavaScript started in 1995. Okay. So it was founded in, I think I told this yesterday also. So the JavaScript came into existence in 1995. What happened was like when this was again the purpose of JavaScript, the creation of JavaScript was before 1995, right? What kind of applications we could have on the browser was or on the net was very static websites. What are static websites, by the way? Does anyone understand?
Only HTML and CSS.
Right, only HTML, CSS, or let's say something which you cannot interact with. Let's say in today's world, right? You open Amazon and you see, okay, I want to, let's say, buy it, right? And then the payment gateway initiation and everything starts, right? So that is like a behavior, right, which that application has. So those behaviors were not possible, right, in the earlier era, right? What you could have was like a static website where some photos were embedded in the HTML and some text was written, and you could just read it, right? You could not do anything about it, or even if you were able to do it, these were very bare minimum part, right? Maybe sending some contact information or something around it, and that's it. Most of the things, right, which you can do today on online, but like offline, right? If you want to buy something, you have to do through the offline mechanism. You could not do it from the internet, right? Now what happened was, so there was a need felt, right, and I mean the creator, the smart creator, right, came in and said that okay, I will change this and I would like to have some dynamic nature in the website, so that if someone says something, right, my website can evolve and respond back, right, to the user. Okay, or at least react to the input given by the user. Okay, and that's where the JavaScript was born, right? I told you yesterday why they choose JavaScript, Java within their name, only for one simple reason. They just wanted to cash in the popularity of Java language. That's it. There was no other, I mean, there is no link of Java with JavaScript. There is no link, right? JavaScript is a different language, Java is a very different language. People get confused because of this terminology, right? Java and JavaScript. But please understand, there is no link. It's just the marketing gimmick, right, which that creator took to make sure that JavaScript gets popular. It cashes into the brand value of the Java part. Okay, so 1995, this was what it was. Let me see my timeline. I don't remember the year. Yes. Yeah, yeah. So okay. So 1995, right? So it was like a raw work, right? So it was like a raw kind of a, I would say like the scripting language, right? Raw scripting language, where whatever that founder felt like, right? It added all that feature which he felt like into this language, right? Right. Now, very soon, right? Because of this introduction, right? I mean, of this language, this started gaining popularity because it was helping the developers, right, to convert their static website into a dynamic website, right? Now, very soon, right, a lot of different vendors, right, started coming into the market with their own adaptation of the JavaScript language, right? I don't remember the complete history around it, but there was a company called Netscape, right? Netscape, I think, which was later, I think, acquired by Microsoft or some other company, I believe, right? And similar to it, right, there were other vendors, right, who were providing the different implementation of the JavaScript, right? So you can understand, like, someone came up, said, okay, this is the JavaScript, and they gave their own versions and the features to it. Someone else came up with the JavaScript and said, okay, this is the other JavaScript which I feel is the best, and this is my version. Now, try to understand what was happening because of this, right? Who is responsible to run JavaScript, right? It was the browser, right? So the browsers have to adapt, right, to these different versions of JavaScript, right? Now, this is not good, right? But because of the same thing, different things are coming up, right? So they wanted a standardized implementation of JavaScript, right? And therefore, a need was arise. There was a need, right? And what came into existence? What in 1997, right? They formed a consortium, right? And they said that, okay, we will standardize this process, okay, and we will come up with the with some standard protocols, right, or the guidelines, so that if someone wants to implement JavaScript, right, or give a flavor of it, they will have to adhere to this standard, okay. So in 1997, what came was the EcmaScript, okay, EcmaScript, ECMA, EcmaScript, right? As EcmaScript 1 came into the guidelines came, right? And they said that whoever wants to create a scripting language, right, which can run on the browser, they will have to follow this standard, right, and provide us that and provide the implementation of the language according to this guideline, right? Right, and that is what the standard. So what is EcmaScript? EcmaScript, you can understand like a consortium or a guideline authority, right, which tells like how a scripting language should behave, okay. So 1997, the first EcmaScript version came, and they gave it a name as version 1, okay. Again, this was very early days of JavaScript, right? And the thought process about this is like almost what 30 years from now, right? So at that point of time, whatever people could think about, right, that okay, we would be using JavaScript in such cases, right? So accordingly, they developed JavaScript according in that point of time, right? But as the time passed, right, as the time evolved, right, again there is a very in 2009, right? In 2009, EcmaScript 5 version came. Okay, you can see there are it took 13 years, right, to move from EcmaScript version 1 to EcmaScript version 5. Okay, why I'm not telling about EcmaScript 2, 3, and 4 again, because these are not relevant. There was no very big changes coming in that in those flavors, right? One of the big changes, right, came under this version, ES5. Okay, ES5. Now again, I'm not going to go inside like what features came here and not, right? I can list down those things, right, maybe afterwards, but not right now, right? I don't want anyone to be confused. Even I don't have the handy list of it. But 2009 ES5 came, right? ES5 came. Now, what happened was in year 2015 or 16, I think 2015, right? In year 2015, ES6 came to the market. Okay, ES6 as a standard came to the market, and this revolutionized the JavaScript as a language. Okay, now you can see, right? This is like 10 years from now, right? I mean, 10 years, just 10 years back. Now, during this time frame, right, the web as a technology, right, has exploded like anything, right? People were creating websites, and a lot of everything was getting online, right? And now the current capabilities of JavaScript was not sustainable, or let's say were not good enough to compete or to provide the capability which a modern application, a web application wants to have, right? And to uplift that, I mean, let's say the capability of that language, right? what came into market was they came up with this standard ES6, right? And this is like a milestone. This is like a big milestone in the journey of JavaScript. Okay. Now, then the versioning of this EcmaScript is called as ES6, right? And it came in the year of 2015. Okay. So there are 2-3 names which, if let's say someone asks, right? Okay. So what was the version A, right? What was the version of the JavaScript which came with ES6? So what you will hear is someone will say that they are using ES6 as a language, okay, or someone will say that they are using ES 2015. What is 2015? It is the year name, right? Year number, right? Whatever that year is, okay. So this ES6 reflects the version number, right? The 6th part is the version number, and 2015. I mean, these are like duplicates name. I mean, synonyms of each other. Like, consider it that way, right? So if someone says that if they are using ES 2015, it means that they are using ES6, right? Right? And and you might hear, right, someone saying that they are using JavaScript 6 as a version of JavaScript, right? Okay, right? So any of these answers are correct. Okay, if someone asks you, okay, that which version of JavaScript came to the market in ES in 2015, these are the versions which came, right? And these are the like the a very big milestone in the journey of JavaScript. Okay, because with this version, right, what came was there was so many changes came into the JavaScript language, right, which made it more powerful. Okay, which made it very powerful, and to stand and compete with the other languages which were taking the market, right, what were controlling the market. So it gave a lot of capabilities to JavaScript. Now after 2015, right, what happened was they decided that what we will do is that you can see, right, from moving from ES5 to ES6, right, they took almost 6 years, right, to move from here to here, right? Why? Because at that point of time, what they did was they thought, okay, we will bring changes once we will bring a lot of changes together, right? And that's why it took them 6 years to deliver this version. But now they felt the need that, okay, this is not the correct approach, and they said, okay, we will not do it this way. What we will do is every year now, right, from now on, every year we are going to release a new version of JavaScript or the EcmaScript, right? So you would hear something like, let's say ES7 came in 2016 and something like this, right, till 2020, right, whatever that version is, 17, 18, 19, right? This is 8, 9, 10, 11, right, whatever that version is. Now again, no one remembers these versions, right? No one remembers these ES7, 8, 9, 10, 11 because there was no big thing, right, coming in these versions. But people do remember about ES6 because ES6 came with the most powerful features which JavaScript today has, right? Okay. Now, but what do we call these versions as? We don't remember the names. What they call it as? They call it as like ES6 plus. Okay. So all these versions, right, you could call it like ES7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right, whatever you feel like, or you can call it by the year name, right, like ES 2016 or 2017, right, something like this. You can keep on calling this, but together, right, collectively they are called as ES6 plus, right? And now after 2020, right, whatever versions are coming, right, they have put all of these into one bucket and they're calling it like ES next. They are not saying any like 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Now they're not saying any of this. They are saying it is ES next, right? And they're putting all of this into this bucket, right? But again, they are also coming up with this version, right? 2024, 25, right? And all of that. But in the common terminology, right? In the technical world, what they do is they call these versions, right? So again, let me write it here, right? So what are the versions which are very important for us to understand? Definitely ES6. This came in year 2015. It is also called as ES 2015 or ES6, right? Okay, and this is the one which we are going to use, right? We are going to use the features which are provided by these. Okay, now the other part, right? What was the version which was prior to this? ES5. Okay, and this also has a importance, right? A very big importance, because as I'm saying, right, ES6, right, came up with a lot of new changes, right? And ES5, right, I mean, it's like the penultimate version before that, right? see, again, try to understand. If you want to create a web application and run in the browser, right? Let's say you created an application, a web application using this version of JavaScript, ES5, right? This version of JavaScript you use to create a web application. Now you want to run this web application in the modern browsers. Let's say we are sitting in year 2024. You opened up browser and you are trying to open a web application which is created. Okay. Okay. Hey, hi, Chetan. You can hear me, Chetan, right? Okay. No worries. Yeah. So where I was, yeah. So what I'm saying is, let's say someone created, right, a a web application using this version of JavaScript, right, which is like 2009 version, like let's say 15 years older version, right, and now they're using it, and in 2024, right, they are trying to open that application on the browser, and your browser, right, is the latest browser, right, the latest Chrome browser. Okay, it's the latest Chrome browser. So try to think about it, right? Your modern browser, right, should be able to run this piece of code, right, on the browser to render that application, right? And let me tell you, right, before 2015, right, this was the version available, right? So whatever applications were created with this version, right, till 2014, they are still required to be supported by the browsers, right? And that's why this still holds a very strong point, right, in the market, where people say that your application should be supporting. I mean, if you have a legacy application, it should be supported. Okay, yeah, Anant, I will answer that query, but not today. But I will answer that. Okay, I'll answer that query. Right. Again, but my point here is that you should understand what is the major milestone, right, in the JavaScript journey. It is ES6, and you might hear a lot of people saying about ES5 also. But why? You need to know the reason of it, because a lot of the applications which were created before 2015, right, were created using this language, using this EcmaScript, and those are still in existence. And modern browsers need to support them to make sure that they get rendered when someone tries to access it on the browsers, right? Now everything after this, right, like ES6, right, ES6 plus 2016 to 2022, 2020, right, I believe. So these are called as ES6, and whatever after this, right, is called as ES next. Okay, I hope now if someone asks you about the version of JavaScript which you use, right, okay, you don't have the answer to that, but at least you now know about EcmaScript and the versioning history, right, about it. Okay, what version of JavaScript I am using today? Let's see this, right? We don't know as of now. Let's see this actually. How would you know about it? What version of JavaScript I'm using?
ES next.
But how do you know it is ES next? I mean, on my system, right? I'm asking.
You check the node version, NodeJS version.
Absolutely
Node
correct.
JS.
So I did this, right. So I got a node version of 22.11.0, right? So now this is the version of the node, right? This is not the version of the JavaScript. So how do I know that which version of JavaScript I am using now? Or I should say in other words, like what version of JavaScript is supported by this node engine which I have installed?
22 reflects like 2022. So anything beyond 2020 is JS next.
Okay. Let's ask this question to Copilot. Okay. I'll ask this question to Copilot. Okay.
This is my random guess.
No, you're absolute. I mean, that's a good guess actually, right? But the answer, even I don't know, right? Even I don't know what is the version of JavaScript I'm using. I'm sure it is something on the ES Next only. You're absolutely correct on it. But what exact version, right? I don't know if there is a command to check that, but we can check on Copilot. I can ask it, which version of JavaScript, right? JavaScript is supported by Node.js Node.js version 22. Okay, it says Node.js version 22 supports EcmaScript 2023. Okay, so this version is supporting this. So when I downloaded this Node.js, right, this version of Node.js, it has the capabilities, right, to allow anyone, right, to write a JavaScript using this standard. But it does not mean that someone can only write using this standard. Okay, it does not mean that. It also means that if I want, right, I can go to any time in history, right, in back, and use whatever features I feel like from that history. Let's say the feature is coming from ES5, ES6, ES7, whatever those versions are. But the maximum version which I can write, right, or the features which I can use from this Node.js is EcmaScript 2023. I hope this makes sense, right, everyone? So if someone asks me, can I use EcmaScript 2024 features using this version of Node.js? The answer is no. Okay. Okay. Since you're not saying, I'm considering this to be a yes.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Yeah, fine. Okay. Let me just read out what Anand was completely asking. Anand was asking what major features we should know from interview point of view to answer a question asked on the same. See, Anand, again, as I said, right, someone can ask you which version of JavaScript you are using, right, to write the code. Or someone can ask you, tell us which version of EcmaScript are you using, right? So I hope with this understanding which I gave you now, you would be able to better explain that, right? And the answer lies in, okay, one more thing, right? If you see this, right, I'm using version 22 here, right? So if someone asks me like, which version you're using to write your code, right, for JavaScript, I can even say EcmaScript 2023. So the follow-up question, right, which will come from the interview side is, okay, you're saying you're using EcmaScript 2023, and we also believe that there is ES6, right? So first of all, tell me the difference between the two. Again, you can explain all this history to them, right? You can tell them that this is how the history is maintained and all that. But the next question of which will come up is, which features, right, from ES 2023 are you using in your code? Now that's a tricky question, right? Because as the language standards progresses, right, every time a version changes, right, there could be some new changes to it, or new features, or new things, right, added to the language. So let's say in case of Java also, right, someone can ask, okay, which version of Java are you using? Are you using Java 8, 11, 17, 21? Which version, right? And with every version of Java, there is a new feature coming in, right? So if you ask, right, if someone asks you which version of Java are you using, I can say, okay, I have installed JDK 17, so I'm using Java 17, right? Am I really using all the features of Java 17? It depends, right? It depends whether I'm aware about those features or not, right? Using a standard, using a version, right, is one thing, and using the features provided by that version is a different thing, right? Understood? Even in today's world, right, when we say about Java, right, even, I mean, this is true for me, I don't know about others, I'm using Java 17 or 21, right, in my coding practices. But what I do is I am still using the features which are provided by Java 8, right? Lambdas and streams, right, and all the collection framework, right, and all that. This all came with Java 8, right? Okay, that's why Java 8 is considered like again, like similar to ES6, right? It is considered like a milestone in Java's journey. Similarly, when we talk about JavaScript, the same thing is happening, right? Although I'm using this version of Node.js, why? Because I want my whatever code I'm writing, right, is compatible with the most recent engines, JS engines, right? But what all features I'm using? I'm still using the features which are provided by ES6. Okay, what are those features, right? Let me name them. Like, I mean, I don't have the list of everything, but let's say arrow function, right? They came in ES6, right? I think classes got introduced in ES6, I believe, or ES7, I don't remember exactly, but those came in that language, right? Otherwise, JavaScript does not have classes, right? Even today, right, I can tell you, if I talk about the root part of JavaScript, it does not support classes. You might be, I mean, you might say, Akhil, you are saying wrong, but again, I will answer that query, right? I will answer that. You might say, Akhil, I can see a syntax in JavaScript which has class written. I can create a class in JavaScript. So why are you saying JavaScript does not allow classes to be created? But again, to understand this, it will take some time, right? But okay, I hope my point is clear, right? What I'm trying to say, that using a version does not mean you're using all the features of that version, right? So the answer to that query is, if someone asks you which version of JavaScript you're using, you can tell them I'm using this version of Node.js, and you can tell them that with this version of Node.js, this supports EcmaScript 2023, but I am using these features which are a part of ES6. Okay,
Got it.
great. Okay, so this is about the history of it. I think we are good on this part, right? Let's start writing some code now. Okay, to write the code, right? Okay, one more thing, right? In Java, again, I will draw the comparison of Java and JavaScript, right? So that we all understand this. Let me delete this code. Let's get a new code. Okay, so when we talk about, again, Java, right? Let's say if I want to create a file in Java, how do you create a file in Java? Let's say anyone knows, like, if I want to create, I want to write some code in Java, the first thing, what should I do there? Can anyone help me with this? What I mean is, like, if I want to create a Java file, what name should I provide to that file? And what would be the extension of it?
.java.
Java.
Okay, and what should be the name?
Name can be anything, like hello.
Okay,
Capital, I mean,
let's say capital. Okay, let's say
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah.
Hello, Java, and this is a file, empty file, right? Created. Okay, so what should I write here to write my code here?
Class name.
I need to create a
Same
class.
as file name.
Same as file name. One thing is this, right? It has to be same as file name. Okay, same as file name. Okay. Does
And main
everyone
method.
agrees? Does everyone agrees that it has to be the same as file name?
Yes. With public access modifier.
Yes.
Sorry, someone said about public, right? Can you please repeat that?
A public access modifier.
No. Okay. Public access modifier is okay, right? But what my question is, if I am not using public class, let's say, right? Can the name be different?
No.
No? Anyone? Okay. As per I remember, right?
We
Sorry,
can
Sudhakar?
ask.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Sudhakar, you're saying something?
We can give
Mhm.
we can give any name. But while you're comparing, you should give the public class name.
Okay. The rule in Java says, if you want to create a public class, right, in a file, your name of the file should match to the public class. That's the rule. Okay, that's the rule.
Yes.
But if I want to create, what we say, we cannot create a private class or a protected class, right? That's not possible in Java. But you can create a default class, right? I hope everyone understands that part, right? People coming from Java, right? You can avoid writing public to a class name, right? You can do that, right? And you can have the class. Okay, I don't want to cover the Java rules here, but okay, let's consider this case that the class name needs to be same. Let's say this. Okay, so I'll say public class, and let's say you. So we all agree, right? At least on this part, that if I'm calling it as public, right, as an access modifier, this name has to match with the file name, right? This is one point. Second point over there is that any code which I want to write, let's say I want to print my name also, right? Then how can I write the code? I can just simply write system.out.println, right? Println, and I can just say Akhiljan, right? Akhiljan. But even to write this piece of code, I need to create a class first, and then I need to have a method inside this. Let's say the main method, right? I need to have a main method also, and then only this code will go inside it to run. Everyone agrees on this part? At least in Java, this is how it works, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Okay, now let's come to our JavaScript world. Now let's say I want to print my name. Console.log. Right? Like this. What should I do to write this code? And what should be my file name here?
Hello.js.
Okay, so when you say hello.js, it's like any random name I can give.
Yes.
Okay, so which is absolutely correct. I can give any name which I feel like. Okay, any name, which is good. The second thing is like, okay, I need to write this code, right? Should I create a class, a function, and then place it inside this like how I was doing in Java? Or I can just simply put it here directly.
We can
Directly.
put it directly.
Directly, right? So everyone understand this part also, right? That in JavaScript, right, there is no need for you to even create a function. You can just directly place this code in the JavaScript file, right, and try to run that file, and it will work. Why it works, right? That's a different question. We'll come to that part, right? But you should understand the difference, right? The basic norms of these languages. So JavaScript, you can just write anything, right, and then you can run the file, and it will work. Let's see this in action. Again, we have already seen it yesterday, but let me just do it again today. So Day2, right? So let's say I want to print my name. So I will say console.log and Akhil Jain. Right? So I did this. Okay. Semicolon, no semicolon, right? Okay. In Java, is semicolon mandatory after every statement?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, right? In JavaScript, it is optional. If you feel like adding it, you can add it. If you don't feel like, don't add it, right? Okay. I feel like I'm adding it, right? And okay, how to run this piece of line, this piece of code? Can I do a right click and maybe run it? I
tried
don't
it.
see an option right here to run. Or does anyone know how to run it? Tell me.
Tried it.
Node
It was
file
not.
name.
Sorry.
Node space file name.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is one way, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone know any other way to run the JavaScript code in VS Code?
We can download an extension for that.
Okay, have you used that extension earlier?
As but like we don't use in our project.
Tell me the extension name. I have not used it actually. But tell me, what is the extension?
JavaScript. I'm like I have used uh,
JavaScript ES6.
I
This
don't
one.
get right now.
Code snippet. This one.
No, this is not run. Can you type run
Run.
JavaScript something?
Run JavaScript. Oh, sorry. Run JavaScript. Do I get anything here? Code runner. This one, right? You mean Elliot plant? But this is 5,000. I don't trust this one. It has only 5,000 downloads. So
I will
not
check
download.
and will let you know. Right now, I don't remember the name of extension.
No worries, no worries. See, my point over here is in majority of the cases, right? You again, when we'll talk about automation frameworks, right? We do not need to run it through Node, right? Again, through this way, like what I'm going to do now. We will see like how things run over there. But again, for us to work here, right, with the VS Code and to run our code, our primarily way of executing would be through Node, right? So it is like we are saying Node means we want to use Node runtime environment, and we are saying, okay, Node, I'm calling you and I'm giving you a file. Please use this and run it on your environment. Okay, this is what I mean when I say Node and the file name. Okay, I'm already in that folder, right, where my file is placed, which is here, right, day2.js. So I need to do what? I need to say day2.js. Let me see if I can run without extension or not. If I do this, yes, it works, right? So it has to be a .js file, right? And you don't have to even mention .js there. And it worked, right? You can see it printed a Akhil. And if I have to run the want to write the complete name, I can do that. Yeah, Anand, please.
Maybe I might be a little hurry to ask this question, but like Java, does it create some class file when we try to run this? And one more question, like how Node figures out like I'm just trying to draw a parallel with Java. So in Java, when you try to compile a file, it needs a main method or let's say a command, let's say class to go into and read it. Right? So how just trying to understand how Node figures this out. If there is no method no specifier for the runtime to understand it, like how to figure out.
Okay. Again, right. For this to understand, right, we have to understand a lot of concepts around scoping. Okay, we have to understand how your JavaScript engine works. What is execution context? We have to understand about event loop, about call stack queue, the microtask queue, and a lot of other things, right? So, and the call stack. Okay, so these are the different components which we have in pipeline, and I'm sure you will get the answers. But again, the answer for you right now is, I mean, I cannot answer it right away, but you will eventually understand this. Okay, I'm going to answer this in the coming lectures.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. I thought I might be a little.
No worries, no worries. It's always good, right, to understand like how things work, right? And it also shows that you're thinking about the next thing, right? It's good. Okay, so I don't mind it, but a lot of things, right, will come with time. Okay, so bear with me. Sorry. Okay. Right.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, so this is Node Day2.js, right? And we got Akilgen, right? And this is how we will run most of our scripts, right? Doing this. Yesterday I showed you, right? Okay, let me do one magic, right? Let me do one thing. Let me create a file. Let me create an HTML file. Okay. Let's say index.html. We will take, this is the approach which I was using till now for the like for us, right? Like we are not concerned about web applications. We are not here to learn how to create web applications, right? But our intention here is to learn like how JavaScript works and then use it to create our frameworks, right? But I wanted to show you like how browsers uses JavaScript, right, to run things. So if you create an index.html file, which is the file which your browser will render right on the browser. So, and I will, what I will do is I will use this JS file inside that HTML. Okay. So let me just write something here. There is a shortcut actually, which it's HTML5 if I write. Not this one, sorry. Okay, I'm forgetting. Let's leave it. I'll just simply write this HTML5. Let me write head and the body part. I'll create a para and I will say podcast learning JavaScript, which is fine, and I will have the script tag and source, and it would be dot day2.js, and we are good. Okay, let me run this HTML file on the browser. Okay, and let's see what happens there. To run this, right, what I have is I have installed a go live server, right, which will which just runs this HTML file on the browser. Okay, so if I run this, let me see. Okay, do you want to allow? Yes, I want to allow. If you would see, right, it has already ran that file index.html and prints this, right. Let me open the console tab. If you see this, right, it prints Akilgen here, right. Let me do one thing. You see it here, right? Akilgen, and let's go here, right. Okay, and let me bring it here, and let's just collapse this and bring it down. Okay, now see this change, right? What I will do here now. First of all, if I render the website, you can see Akilgen being printed, right? If I do Akilgen, let's say podcast, and if I save the file, I just save the file, and because the HTML file, right, is consuming my JavaScript code, right, and I am saying console.log, right, console.log. Try to say console here and console here, right? This is like, and we have, I hope we have understood. I mean, in our computer basics, right, classes, we have understood about what we call it. There are peripherals, right? In the computer, we say the output console and the input devices and the output devices and all, right? So for the browser, what is the output device for the browser? This console, right? This is where it can print something, right? Okay, so this is one of the outputs for it. So when you say console.log, right, what it does is it goes and prints the thing on the console where it can display the information, right? So when I was using my VS Code, right? And there, okay, there are a lot of things actually. Okay, with VS Code, right? We have the JavaScript engine, right, coming from Node.js, right? And with Chrome as a browser, it also has an inbuilt JavaScript engine inside it, right? But that is not a Node engine, right? It's a different engine. Okay, it's a different engine, and Node is a different engine. But both the things, right? There is a console tab, right? In the browser, it is this, and on the VS Code, it is this one, right? If I run my code here, right? Let's say by Node.js, you will see the output here, right? Right. And here, if I do something right, and since I'm using this JS file in my HTML code, you will see the output in the console tab. You can relate this to your web applications in your project, right? And I would encourage everyone, right? If you are using a web application in your project, try to open that application, go to the developer tools, right? And open this console tab. I'm sure you will see a lot of logs being printed there. Okay, maybe the error logs or maybe some information out there, right? But you will see some logs. Okay, you have to understand what happens there is because every web application is created through JavaScript, right? And JavaScript, right, if it is throwing some errors or if it is throwing some information, right, and is not properly controlled, right, and maybe by purpose or maybe by mistake, if the developers is printing all this on the console, so you will see all of that information in the console tab, right? And this is what I'm doing purposefully, right? I'm writing the code here, right? And I'm saying index.html, run this. And that is why you're seeing all this here. Okay. Now this could be one of the convenient ways for me to display my output, right? Because here, if you would see, right, every time I make a change in my code here, right? Let's say I want to now make a change, I want to remove this. See here, right? If I save my file, right, you can see, right? I have not seen the output of this file now here, right? If I want to see the output, I would have to run this command. But see here in the browser, right? Because this is a live server running, right? Using that part, you can see the changes were automatically reflected, right? And it saves the time for me to display some things, right, to you. So sometime, right, you would find me using this approach of displaying the outputs. And some of the cases, I might use only Node, right, to show you the output, right? But both are correct, right? Here, there is no need for me to run Node again, right, again and again, because what is happening is, okay, let me just tell you one more thing here. When we start things, right, there are hundreds of things which are unexplored, and I can't explain everything on the first few days only, but I'm sure you will understand eventually. But one thing which I want to make sure that you understand around this setup here, right, also is, see here, right, consider this like your browser. I told you every browser has its own JS engine, right? I think the JS engine here is called as V8, I believe. The name of the which Google uses it is called as V8. I can check it on the Copilot. And what I have done is I have installed Node.js on my desktop, right? So this is the and the name of the engine. Okay, one more thing, right? This is the runtime environment. This is the runtime environment. This is not the engine. Okay, this is not the engine. The engine name is something else. So Node.js is a runtime environment and it has a JavaScript engine inside this. And I believe this is also taken from the Chrome browser only. So the same engine is used by Node.js also. So I think this is also called as V8, but let me check. I don't completely remember this. So let's ask which JS engine is used in Google Chrome latest version. So I think it should say V8, right? V8, right? So V8 JavaScript engine is an open source. It's an open source high performance engine developed by Google. It's not only used in Chrome but also in Node.js, right? So Node.js is also using the same engine, right? Okay, we got the answer to the second question also. So V8 is being used here and V8 being is used here, right? Now, what is the purpose of JS engine? Someone can provide this JS engine a JS file, like in my case, right, hello.js. And what this JS engine will do it will pass this file, it will compile this file, and it will execute that file. This is what it is required, right? But to initiate that process on the Node.js, right, you will have to call Node, and then it will do that. But here in the browser, right, the browser has other needs, right? What the browser has to do is we need to provide our browser the index.html file. Okay, so this was my index.html file which I provided to the browser, and I said, okay, take this file and render it, right? But while reading that file, it came to know, okay, there is a script tag there, right, which has a path to a JS script file, okay, JS file, right? And because the browser needs to render this HTML, right, so what it will do is it will pass on this JS file to the engine, right, to the V8, right? And now anytime you make a change, right, in the JS engine, right, in the JavaScript file, the hello.js file, right, when you make a change, any change here, right, what happens here is the browser gets to know about it, right, because you have mentioned this file name in your HTML file, right? And what it does is it rereads the file, right, and then starts the and shows the output, right, according to the updated JS file. So, and for doing this, you don't have to do anything. It is all being done by the Chrome browser automatically by itself. But when you have to do work, when you're working on Node.js, you have to again and again go there, right, and say, okay, node and the file name. If you have made a change in the file, make sure you are running it again. Okay, so we can use either approach, but again, maximum time I will be using this approach only. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand this part also, right? That this is how things can also work. But this is a more convenient way to show you if I am working, if running node again and again is a I would say not a fun activity to do, right? You have to do that node and node again. Okay, enough of this, right? So we got this part, I believe, right? Okay. So coming back to our original discussion here, right? So we got this point, right? That if we wanted to write any line of code, right, or run something on JavaScript, there is no need to create a function. There is no need to create a class. You can directly write your line of start writing your code, and it will work. Okay. Okay, great, right? Let's move ahead. Let me delete this.
Hello, official.
Yeah, please.
I've pinged the name of the extension on the chat.
Code runner, right?
runner.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Let me check this actually. Let's see, right? If it is a good thing, we'll use it, right? Code runner. This is an extension, right?
Yes, sir.
Extension for VS Code to run JavaScript. Okay, how to run JavaScript code in VS Code? No, I don't need to run this. Okay, let me find this here. I will have a look into it after the class, and maybe tomorrow I can explain this. But let me check it myself first. Code runner. Okay, this is a marketplace, right? If you wanted to add some extensions to your VS Code, you have to go to the extensions place, right, and search things there, right, and you will get to know. I think this is the one, right? It says it can run C, C++, Java, TypeScript, VBScript, C#. Don't see JavaScript
It
mentioned
is
here.
mentioned JS after Java.
After Java. Oh, yes, you're right. Let me install it. Let's see how it works. I don't know.
TypeScript is also mentioned.
Yeah. TypeScript is a wrapper over JavaScript. So it got installed, right? Okay. Now, how do we use it? We go there and we get an option to run code.
Yes.
Using this way.
Like this.
Great. Oh, great. So we have another option, right? So we can go there. But okay, do we get a play button also against it? I mean,
no. There's also one, I don't remember that extension. So like there is, okay, you can see there is a play button on your, minimize button, under the minimize button. Can you
this
try
one, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is also there.
So this came after we enabled this part, right? Or it was already there? I don't know. Let me disable it actually. So
No, it was not already.
So it came because of this, right?
Came after. Yeah, it came after code runner. Just now I did in mine.
Okay,
VS
great.
Code.
Okay, so it's a good extension, I believe. Then we can use it. It will help us save some time writing that node thing again and again. We can just go and click on this, right? Okay, brilliant, right? So I'll use this extension. Okay, great. Okay, coming back to our part. Okay, what we have to learn. Okay, let's continue our learning. I'll go to the board again. Let's create a new board. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So not only about JavaScript, right? If you're working with, if you're trying to run any language, right? Whether it's Java, JavaScript, shell scripting, or C Sharp, Python, and any language, right? In all of these languages, right? There are some basic building blocks which you should always understand first, right? If you understand them well, right? Because every language has those building blocks, right? It's not that JavaScript has some different kind of basic building blocks and Java has some kind of different basic building blocks. No, these basic building blocks remain same across different languages, and that is how someone can, if someone is working on Java, they would be able to understand JavaScript and even work on it because they use those basic building blocks only, right? What are those basic building blocks? Those are these. So one is that every language, right? Every language, I should not say every, I should say like almost every language, almost, right? So almost every language has a concept called that you need to define what kind of data type, right, you would be using. If I again draw an example with Java, right? With JavaScript. If I talk about Java, right? Can someone tell me what kind of data types I'm talking about here?
Int,
Right? Int, string, float, right?
Char, bool.
yeah,
Char, boolean,
double,
right? Double, right? And there are more, right? Byte, long,
Then user
right? And again, then you can create objects also, right? Those are also data types only, right? These are custom data types in Java, right? I hope everyone knows that you can create objects.
user defined.
Yeah, user defined things, right? Right. So these are data types here. What? Okay. Why do we create data types actually? Tell me. I mean, why there's a need to understand about data types?
To hold different kind of values.
Absolutely correct, right? So let's say if I want to hold name, let's say Kiran, right? And I want to hold the salary of a person, let's say 50,000, right? And if I want to hold, let's say the marks, right, which a student has got from let's say 10, right? Let's say 10.7. So these are three different kinds of different types of data. This is a string. This is like a number, right? And this is like a decimal number. I mean, another form of number, right? And then you can have boolean also. Let's say if you want to say, okay, did you take a food, right? So the answer could be true or false, right? In that case, it could be a boolean part, right? In most of the languages, you will find that there is a need that if you want to use such values, right? Such values, they will force you, right? That language will force you that you define a variable, right? To store these values, right? So I can create a value, I can create a variable in Java saying this, okay, there will be a variable called name, and it would be holding the value of, let's say, Kiran here. Will this line of code work in Java? I mean, considering that I've placed it inside the class and then inside the main function, and I'm writing this line, will it work? Or am I missing something on it?
Missing the data type.
Data type, right? I'm missing the data type here, right? Which will come here, right? So what data type should I mention here?
String.
string, string.
String, right? String here. String here. Okay. Why do I have to mention string? Because what? Okay. There could be two different kinds of answer here. One could be very technical, which can go to the discussion of memory management and all. I don't want that answer. So what I just wanted to understand here is that what Java has done here is that Java says that Java does not allow you, right, to use the variables without telling what kind of data you are going to store within it. Agree? Java will not allow you to write this line of code, right? Java will say, tell me what kind of data you want to store, right? Once you tell him that, okay, I am going to store let's say I will tell him that I will store int value. And the moment compiler sees, okay, You are saying that you want to store int value, but you are storing a string value here, right? It will throw the compilation issues. Okay, it will throw the compilation error. Agree? This is how the Java works, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It stops you right there itself, that says, okay, no, this is not allowed. Now let's see what happens in JavaScript. Okay, does anyone know how things work in JavaScript? Do we have data types here in JavaScript?
No.
No, right? Right. So that is a big difference, right? That's a very big difference when it comes to JavaScript. If I want to do the same thing, right, in JavaScript, I can just say this. I'm happy to write only name and type here Akhil. Then I can assign 5 to it, and then I can assign 9.7 to it, and I can assign a false to it, and JavaScript will not complain. Right? There is no need for me, or let's say there is no way in JavaScript that you can define a data type here. You can't. You can't define a data type in JavaScript. Okay. So in JavaScript, remember this, right? This is a very big change, right? From your usual languages which you would have learned, whether it's Java or some other language, right? In JavaScript, right, you do not specify data types. There is no data type here actually, right? At least to specify. What you do is you create a variable, assign a value to it, and start consuming it. Okay, right? So remember this, right? You do not have to specify any data type over here. Okay, great. But does it mean that we do not have data types in JavaScript? That is wrong. That is a wrong interpretation of it, right? JavaScript has data types. Okay, it has data types, but it's just that the rule says is that you do not need to specify the data type when you're creating a variable. Okay, so you are good to write this way, either this or this and this, right? Whatever you feel like, but there is no need to type here string, int, double, and all that, right? Okay, so none of this is required here. You can just simply start using it. We'll talk about let, const, and the where part, but we'll talk about it later, right? But currently I'm just focusing on this variable. So this is the format of like this, right? Variable equals to the value, right? So this is the syntax which we are following, and you can assign any value you feel like. Okay, so okay, the second thing, right? This is the JavaScript part. Okay, what I was saying, yes, the data types. So let me delete this board now.
Does this mean that there is no compilation issues with the JavaScript?
Okay, when you say compilation, right?
Like how does the runtime environment figures it out?
That's the beauty of JavaScript, right? The way it works is, or the way it is designed to work it does not care what kind of data you're dealing with. It just needs to know, okay, that you are creating a variable and you're using that value. So again, try to understand the purpose of JavaScript, right? When someone designed JavaScript, right, it was only meant for the browsers, and it was only meant to do one small specific thing, right? But what happened after that was like people adapted to that language so much that knowingly and unknowingly, right, or forcefully or unforcefully, they have to evolve the JavaScript, right, so it can support multiple things. But the essence of JavaScript is that it's a lightweight, it's a very lightweight language, right, and you can do a lot of things around it, right, without feeling the pressure, right, of following the rules. Okay, so again, that is the one of the biggest USPs of JavaScript, right, that it's not a very strongly typed language. Okay, you do not have to define the data types, right, of your things, because if you define data types, you are controlling things over there, right, and the free flow of JavaScript, you're taking that power away from it. Okay, around the compilation and the other stuff, right, we will get the answers, but as of now just understand that this is not required in JavaScript, and the way it works is you don't have to define data types. Okay,
Understood.
TypeScript, right, came into existence because of all these shortcomings, right, which JavaScript has. And TypeScript is trying to provide all the gaps, right, which JavaScript has with the other modern languages like Java, right? And that is why TypeScript exists in the market. Otherwise, TypeScript has no need, right? Just to make you feel at home, right? Because you are someone who knows Java well, right? So, and people were not able to work with JavaScript, right, freely, because there is a lot of the way it works, the nature of it, right, is very different. What TypeScript has done is it has tried to create a wrapper on JavaScript and is trying to bring the similarity which you see in Java, right, and so that you can see it here also, so that you can work on this ecosystem by keeping things similar, right? But under the hood, it is all JavaScript, and there is nothing actually changing, right? It is still JavaScript and does not need a data type. Okay. I mean, again, we will understand all of this, right, with the due duration, right? Okay, what I was saying, data type, right? Okay, the rule is you don't have to define, right? Don't define data types. But it does not mean that JavaScript does not have data types. It has data types, right? There are two types of data types which JavaScript has. Again, similar to Java, right? Similar to Java. In Java also, right, you have primitive data types and non-primitive, right? Non-primitive. You call non-primitive in Java, right? Here I would, or you can call it like object, right? So here I would, in JavaScript, right, they do not call it as non-primitive. They say that we have object data type. So there are two types of data types in JavaScript. One is primitive and other one is the object data type. Okay. When it comes to primitive, right, there are 7 different types of primitive data types. Okay. But we will talk about only 5 because I myself has not used the 6th and 7th one, right? And I've never seen it being used in the automation frameworks, right? So I don't know what is the purpose. At least in the automation space, we don't use it. Okay. Okay. What are the different data types? Which the primitive ones? Let me write it down. So the first one is called as number. Number, right? So what could be the numbers? 1 is a number. Decimal numbers are also counted under this family, number only, right? So if you write 1.7, 1, -1, right? Any number you write, right? It will all belong to this family of numbers, right? So this is one data type which JavaScript provides. Second data type. Second data type is string. Okay, you can use string here, right? In single quotes, in double quotes. It could be a single letter like A, I mean AJ, let's say Akhil, right? Or let's say A only, right? Whatever it is, right? It is all strings, right? So there is no separate bifurcation of like character and string, right? No, it is all string. If you are putting it like a sequence of characters, it is all string which has to be placed under double quotes or single quotes, right? Like this. So this is all string. And in numbers, right? Whatever numbers you can think of, right? All will belong to this family of numbers only. The third data type. The third data type is Boolean. And what we have here is true and false. Okay, true and false. There is a unique concept here which is about truthy and falsy. Okay, I will talk about it tomorrow, not today, but we'll discuss that part, right? But for today, just understand that we have a data type called Boolean, and what values it can hold is true and false. What are, so these are 3, right? 1, 2, and 3 data types. I said 5, right? At least 5 which you should know. I will write name of all 7, but the 5, right? These 3 you should be knowing, and the 4th one which you should know is called as undefined. You will say, again, what is this? Undefined is a data type. Actually, yes, it's a data type here, right? What is undefined means? Something which you have not defined, right? Okay. Okay, I'm sure like it's not clear right now. I know, right? So no worries, I'll answer that part. There is one more, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, let me write it down. It is called null. Okay, So null is the fifth data type which we have in JavaScript. So 4 and 5. Okay. Okay. So undefined, null, and all this. Okay. The sixth one, right, which I have is called as big int. I have never used it, so I will not talk about it. Seventh is called symbol, which again I have not used. I don't know like what is the purpose of it, but these two I have never used in my life, so not sure like what is the purpose of it. But these five are the one which you will see a lot, while at least while you will get errors and all that, right? So you need to understand like what is the purpose of them and why do they exist and what are these exactly. These are different data types which the JavaScript provides: number, string, boolean, undefined, and null. So this is the class of this, right? This bucket, primitive data types. What about objects? What are the objects? I mean, what things are called as object data types in JavaScript? If you try to create an array, that's an object data type. If you try to create a map, okay, just a second, give me a sec, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I was saying about the object data type, right? So we have arrays, we have map, function, right? Functions are treated like object data types in JavaScript, right? We have something called set. This is also an object data type, right? And there are other things, right? There are other things, right, which will be a part of object data type only, right? But in primitive data type, right, we have only these sevens. Okay, and this is what we need to understand. And these are the five which we need to understand from the data type side. Okay. 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 Let's take some examples today. Let's take some example. Yeah. Yeah, Amrinder, please.
Yeah, Akhil, the thing is previously you mentioned, so we don't need to intensively use any type of data type in JavaScript, right? Like
Right.
you gave the comment as name.
Right.
So then why they are introducing those things? So are we going to use those things like string name is equal to Akhil or something like
No,
this?
no, I will not use them, right? I will not use them. See, again, there are two different things, right? One is the rule around JavaScript coding, right? That you don't have to specify data types when you create variables, right? This is the first rule,
Okay.
right? The second thing is like it's not that, see, this rule is different, right? But how internally things are treated, right? If you create a variable, right, JavaScript stores it like under different families, right? Whatever variable you create, right, depending on what kind of value it holds, right, JavaScript will categorize between these different types of data types internally, right?
Okay, so
For you, mhm,
by default, JavaScript knows what type of data type it is, and it will execute as it is, right? No need
right,
to mention. Okay, okay, got it.
right. So internally, JavaScript comes to know about data type by seeing the value of the variable.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So internally, that is the logic which it uses to give you the methods, right, around things. Okay. And that is how you get access to a lot of methods within it, and you can operate some functions on it, right?
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, just for today, right? What we'll do is, again, there was not much we could do today, but fine. But basics are very important, so we should all be focusing on that part first. Okay, let's create some variables, right? So I'll create one variable, and I'll create a variable. Let's say name only, right? So I'm going to say name Akhiljan, right? Again, I can use a semicolon, not. Let's leave it. If I do this, right? Let's run it. Will it do anything? No, right? It did not do anything because I'm not printing anything on the console. Okay. Yesterday someone was asking me like why it shows a strike on the name, right? Uh, See, what it means is what it's saying is like name is deprecated, right? It says name is deprecated. The declaration was marked as deprecated here. What is happening here is because of the evolution of EcmaScript, right? What they have done is they have reserved some of the keywords, right, to not to be used in the global scope, right? Currently, when I'm creating a value like this, right, with a name as a variable name, it is saying that please don't do it because this is has been the using this variable name, right, has been restricted by JavaScript if you use it in a global scope. What is a global scope? You don't know. I have not explained. So let's park it. But I hope it gives some answers to you, right? What I can do here is it will still work, right? It's not that it will not work. It will still work. It is just giving you a warning, right? But just to work around it, I can give it a different name. That's it. Okay. This is this part. Now you can see I'm not telling you, right? This is a string. I'm not saying this, right? I'm not saying this. This is a string, right? You can see even it is complaining, right? What are you typing here? So if you see unexpected keyword or identifier, I don't. JavaScript does not want you to provide any data type. If I run this now, right? Console.log first name, right? Let me run this now. You will see what you will see Akhil Jain, right? Okay. Now, okay. Let's see the what is the data type the first name as a variable holds, right? We can see from our eyes it's like a string, right? But let's ask the compiler, right? Let's understand from the JavaScript what kind of data type it is treating it with, right? And to do that, there is a special keyword which you can use, which is with the name as type of. Just type, you have to write this keyword type of, right? And give a variable name here, right? Now, when I will be printing this, right, it will be printing the data type of this variable, right? And how it will know? It will look at the value which it stores. You can see the value currently stored is a string. So the output of this line, right, would be, it will be giving us what kind of data type it has, right? Let me run this. String, right? Let me clear this. Okay, how do you clear this? Clear output, right? Let me run it again. You can see string here, right? Okay, let me do one thing now. I'll use this first name, and this time I will assign it 78. Okay, and now I will print this again. What should this print now? Anyone? Type of prints the data type of what that variable is holding. What is print?
Number.
Number, right? Right. Let's run this. It prints number, right? Okay, great. Let's do one more thing. Let's give it a Boolean value now. So let's say true here, right? True. And let's take it up. And let's now again I'm printing the other type of it. We will see first of all, in the first case, right? The value of that variable was of string type, right? So that's why when we check the type of it, it gave me a string. Then I updated the value of this variable to 78, right? And then now the data type, right, which this variable is holding is of what type? Number type. And then I change it to the Boolean value. Okay, great. So these three are okay, right? I hope we understand this part, right? And you can create any variable with these different kind of values and it will work. What about this undefined and null part? How will I get undefined? Let me do this. I will call a variable called second name. Okay, have I created this variable on the in my script?
No.
This variable? No, right? So does this variable has any value inside it?
No.
No, right? So when a variable, right, is not declared, right, like this, it is not declared, it is not defined here, right? Second name I have not defined, I'm just using it randomly, right? What this will say is, it will say undefined. That you are using a variable which you have not defined, right? And since you have not defined it, it does not hold any value, right? So JavaScript does not know what kind of data type this variable is holding. You're getting the point, right, everyone?
So there is no syntactical kind of error.
No.
No, right? All is
No.
runtime kind of.
Right. Okay. So you will not get the again until unless, right, you are doing some silly mistakes, right? You're not, see, there is no syntactic error here, right? There is no syntactical error here, right? First of all. Second of all, if there were any, right, if you are not following the rules of JavaScript to write the code, like I was doing in the first case, right? I was trying to give a string here, right? JavaScript knows that this is incorrect, right? So the compiler is working here, right? The VS Code compiler is working here, right? Whatever compiler this JS code is working, right? This is like a just in time compiler, which this engine has within it, right? And it is trying to make sure that at least you are complying with the basic ethics of JavaScript language. And this is against it, right? So it is telling me that you are making a mistake and you should not do this. If I still want to save this, right, and will try to run it, you will see some errors on the runtime. You see, right? Okay. So again, okay, someone was asking me in the Discord, is JavaScript a interpreted language or a compiler language? I answered, okay. I hope I don't know like how many of you have read the answer. So again, I will ask you guys, like, what is this? Is JavaScript an interpreted language or a compiler language? And what is the difference between the two, if you know this?
I think interpreted.
And what does interpreted mean?
Because in Java, like whatever the code we are writing, right? So first of all, compiler will check that one, and but here there is not kind of compiler is there directly. So everything we got it as runtime, like error or whatever we are getting at runtime, right?
Absolutely correct. But what is the difference between compiler and the interpreter? Does anyone know?
Compiler reads the entire file, as interpreter reads line by line.
Absolutely correct. And when JavaScript came into existence, right, it came with the idea that JavaScript is an interpreted language. So every line would be, when it would be executed, right, it would be compiled. I mean, it would be compiled at that point of time, converted into a machine code, and then it would be executed, right? That is what the compiler is. I mean, compilation means, right? This is plain English, right, which I'm writing here. This is not machine readable syntax, right? It needs to be compiled, which involves your rules checking and everything, right? Syntax checking, rules checking, and all that, and then it will be converted into a machine code, and then it will be executed by the machine, right? That is what compilation means, right? And what happens here is, in the interpreted language, right, what happens is, not complete code is given to a compiler and said, okay, do the compilation. No, their line by line code is given to the interpreter, and it takes line by line and interprets this and runs that code, right? So maybe you might have some, maybe the above part is correct, right? Let's say, I don't know, like, okay, let's me, what I'm trying to say here is, when JavaScript started, right, it started with as a interpreted language, but as the modern browsers, right, evolved and JavaScript evolved, right, and the capabilities of those engines evolved, they have, it's like a mix of both the things now. It is a interpreted language for sure, but it is also working as a compiled language also. And the core component which is making it all possible is a component inside those engines which is called as just-in-time compiler. Okay, that is what, I mean, what magic it is doing, I don't know, right? That is something for the people who are more interested into the systems, I mean, internal parts. I am not someone who has that knowledge around it. But what is doing the magic here? The just-in-time compiler, right? Which the JS engines have within them, and they are and it is giving us a feeling that it is not interpreted, rather it is compiled. Okay, right? But try to understand the JavaScript as a language, right? was created or is created to be used as an interpreted language, not a compiled language. Okay. Again, coming to the point here, right? What I was discussing around the type of, right? I think Gunjesh was asking this question, right? That we will not get the error, but I hope you get the answer, right, Gunjesh? That how you can see the syntax error and all that.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you're not following the syntax and all, right, the compiler which is coming from the, I mean, the basic JavaScript checking, right, which this VS Code is provided, right, it is doing all that part, but it is all given to the Node.js when I'm running Node and the file, right, and that is when the things will run. Okay. Okay, fine. So yeah, so I hope everyone understand what is undefined. It is that variable which you have not defined, right? Okay. If let's say I create a variable called second name, right? Let's say I do this. You can see it is not a mistake, right? It is not complaining, and it does not mean that I have defined it. I have not defined it. I have just created a variable, right? But the value is not defined. If I run this again, right? What is the output of this message? I mean, of this line here. Can someone please tell me? What would be the output of this line? Will it be any different? Okay, great. So it said second name is not defined. Okay, great. Okay, this time the compiler is at work. Okay, great. Let me just do this way. Let me clean this up. Okay, great. This time the compiler is working. It's saying second name is not defined. Okay, it's not defined, and this is okay. So again, try to understand, right? There are two different cases now, right? If I don't do this, right? If I don't do this, okay, it is throwing the error at which line? Let's see. It is throwing the error at line number here, right? At line number 3 here. Is not defined. What is really happening here is that, okay, how should I explain this? Okay. Okay, I'll explain this afterwards, right? I think we need to understand functions first, so I'll explain this afterwards. But if you understand this part, right, this second name here, right, when I'm using it, it is not, I have not created a variable which has a value. So what it does is it tries to look for a variable with this name. It does not find it up there, right? And since I have not defined it there, it does not have a value. So it does not know what kind of data type this variable is of, right? And that's why it is giving me the message saying it is undefined. Okay. So if I say here, right, if I say here second name equals to undefined, I can put a value like this, okay, to a variable. I can say it undefined. I don't know what kind of value this variable will have as of now. I don't know, right? This is one of the way in JavaScript you can say, okay, today I do not know what kind of data this variable will hold. So I'm saying it undefined, right? Tomorrow maybe after doing some execution, right, after a while I will get to know and I will fill that value, right? But as of now I don't know, and this is undefined as of now, right? It could be a boolean, it could be a string, it could be a number. Now let me run this. Okay, let me first clean this and run it. You will see, right, it says undefined. Even if I don't do this line, right, it still says undefined. Okay, so if you are not creating a variable and you're using it, what would be the type of that, what is the type of the data which that variable holds? Undefined. Okay, enough of this. Yeah, Kiran, please. Yeah, ask it, right.
So why are we using the type of before the second one? Yes.
Why I'm
You
using
know
type
that,
of it?
yeah.
Type of is a keyword, or is a keyword provided by JavaScript, right, which helps you to know what kind of data type your variable is of. Okay,
Okay.
and I want
Oh,
to
sorry.
print out
Sorry.
the
Yeah.
data type, right, of these variables.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I somehow missed that. Yeah.
No worries, no worries. Okay. The last part, right, for today, the null part. Okay, how do we say null, right? Let's say, let me create a third variable. Third name equals to null. Okay, null. Now, null here, right? Okay, let me first print it. Let's see what output do we get. third name, right? And let me clean this up and print this. Okay, now it's a different case, right? You see an object here, right? Okay, this is again a very good interview question, which people can ask, right? So let me answer this around. Okay, so we understood this, right? This about the string part, number, boolean, and undefined. Undefined is like a kind of a data type which will be given to those variables which do not have the values defined against them, right? Okay, so undefined is this thing, right? So people ask, what is the difference between undefined and null, right? Undefined and null. The difference here is, first of all, these are two different types of data types which JavaScript has. In the case of undefined, right, you do not know what kind of, you have not specified what kind of data this variable will have, right? That's why it says undefined. In JavaScript, null is a type of data type, right, which you can assign purposefully to a variable. Okay, and null means that, right, that it is pointing to null, right, which means nothing, right, which means nothing, right? And not, I mean, it is like a value, right? In JavaScript, it's like a value. Okay, now you could ask me again, Akhil, right? Okay, should I give something as undefined or null? Again, the answer will depend on the context. Okay, in which context are you using what, right? Because if you try to compare two variables, right, and do some logic around it, you will have to be very careful around it, like whether the variable is undefined or null, because these are two different things. Okay, and things will get better, right, again during the course of our bootcamp. But one thing which I want to tell you here is this output. If you see this, right, I ran type of third name, right? Till now we were getting these numbers, right? String, number, boolean, undefined. But now I'm getting object here, right? You might think, Akhil, you said that this primitive data type, right, null, is a primitive data type. So why is it throwing as an object, right? Why is it throwing object here? And this could be an interview question again, right, people? So I hope that that's why I'm just covering this very specifically. Right now, this is a bug in in the JavaScript. Okay, it's a bug in JavaScript, right? You might say, okay, what are you saying? How could a language has a bug? But please trust me, this is a bug in JavaScript, right? And again, the reasoning of this bug, right, it dates back to the evolution of JavaScript, right, when it was created. Okay, I can answer that, right? I think better than me, I think Copilot can answer you that query. Let us ask this, right? Let us see. Okay, why type of why type of variable which has value as null returns object as an output, right? This is our question. Let's ask the Copilot. Okay, now please read this. It says the reason type of null, right, returns object is a historical quirk, right, in JavaScript. When JavaScript was first implemented, a type of operator was designed to return the object for values that are stored as objects. Okay, again, it is again because of like how JavaScript was imagined in year 1995, right, and the way the founder, right, thought about it, and because of the change which they decided in year 1995 has a negative impact on the evolution of JavaScript, right, for this null part. Okay, but let's continue reading this, right? So it says the type of operator was designed to return object for values that are stored as objects. Okay, so it was meant for this at that point of time. Okay, I gave you the example of objects, right? Functions, map, set, arrays, these are all different types of objects in JavaScript. At that point of time, null was represented as a null pointer, essentially a reference to a known existent object. So in the year 1995, right, at that point of time, as per their understanding at that point of time, they considered null to be something meant for the objects only, right? Thus, the type of operator returned object for null. So in year 1995, let's say we are in year 1995, and I'm running the command type of null, right? Type of null, right? So in as per year 1995, I am okay, and I'm satisfied with the answer that it is giving me object, because this is the way I've designed it. But as the JavaScript progressed, right, and it evolved, we added a lot of different things to it, right? And null was taken away from the objects area and fitted into the primitive data types, right? And said, okay, this is a primitive data type rather than a object, right? So they have shifted that null from there to this side, okay? But due to this change, right, which they have placed in 1995, they cannot reverse some of the things, right? Which is one of this, that if you try to find the type of null, right, it would still give you an object. In reality, it should have given you null, okay, as an output. But now, because of the historical reasons, because when it was designed, it was imagined as an object, right? But now that is not true anymore, but they cannot revert those changes because of the backward compatibility which they wanted to have with the legacy applications, which are developed using the code which was existing at that point of time, right? You can read here. The behavior is now considered a bug, but it has been retained for backward compatibility. Changing it could break existing code that relies on that behavior. Okay, in reality, null is a primitive value, not an object, but due to this legacy design decision, type of null will always return an object. Okay, I think that is enough for this, right? And even for the day, right? So again, I hope we covered everything, right, which I wanted to for today. We will explore more tomorrow, right, about these different data types. We will see the conversions of one data type to another and all that, right? We'll do it tomorrow. But I think we are good for today. And yeah, I will stop here. If anyone has any query to ask, yeah. So Anand, you are asking, is string a reserved keyword as well? I think yes, it's a reserved keyword in JavaScript. So you cannot create your variable with the name as string now. Let me try it, if it works or not. Let's say if I say string equals to Akhil. Can I do this? Okay. I think it should be a, or if I keep it as capital S, string equals to Akhil. Okay, great. If I do console.log string, can we do this? Okay. No. What it is doing? Allows manipulation and formatting of text. String equals to Akhil. Okay. I don't know, right, what is happening here, but we'll explain, right? I'll see about it, what is happening here. But string is not, you can see, right? It's a type of string constructor here, right? This is a method, right, which is working here. You can see, right? This is what is happening here. Allows manipulation, formatting of text strings, and determination and location of this. So seems like till now it allows you to create a variable with this name, right? But it feels like it is doing that, but it is not. It is not, right? It is not doing that. Somehow, what you're doing is you are assigning a string value, right, to a keyword in JavaScript, right? And this is not a variable. This is something else. Okay, it will make sense again in the future. But yeah, this is how it is. Okay, but yeah, there are some things, right, in JavaScript where the keywords has been restricted and you cannot use them. I do not have the list handy, but yeah, we can check, right? You can again ask the Copilot. I will be using Copilot a lot, right? And I've used this a lot earlier also in the Java program. And this is, I feel, a very good thing given to us as a developer or as a QA engineer or SDET, right? And you can ask your queries directly, right? And you will get very sharp answers from this, right? You do not have to scroll or search, right, on the Google a lot. You can just type in your query, your questions well, and you get the very apt answers. And it can really help you, and it can save a lot of time, right? I do it in most of the cases. I use this only rather than going to the Google, right? And I would encourage everyone to get used to these kind of AI tools, right, like Copilot or something else, which can really help you to save time. Okay, I'll stop here. Does anyone have any query or something to ask? No? Okay, great, right? I hope today's session was informative and you might have learned something new. Right. So again, we'll continue our journey tomorrow, and we will take up the next phase of our learning. Okay. And the recording. Yesterday, I got the recording at 12 p.m. right in the night, and I might be sleeping at that point of time. So if that is the case, the recording will get available in the morning by 8 or 9, right? So please bear with that. But that is the maximum time, right? I will take to make that recording available if someone is looking for it, right? Okay, thank you so much. Let's meet tomorrow, and I would push whatever code I have written to the GitHub repo, and if someone is interested, they can go and check this. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.